Doing amazing. Cool. All right, I guess it's recording and everything. Well, thank you both for taking the time to even speak with me. I know that you have a very long day and schedule ahead of you, so thank you so much.
Uh,
So just to kind of like give a little quick, my name is Tia. I'm the content manager for Geek Vibes Nation. I want to throw my first question over to Gonzalo, the director of this amazing film, American Star. Um, your background, while not entirely in horror, does have horror elements, sci-fi, and all that. How's that been for you to kind of go from that to this more grounded, still kind of like a thriller and everything, but just away from like the horror and sci-fi genre?
I think I have a long answer and a short one. The short,
Okay.
the short one is that I just got older.
But we made a film together, which again was a Western noir called The Hollow Point back in 2016, which is the precursor to our working together on this because we worked together very well and we liked each other, I think. That's why he asked me about this. And then over the next few years, we worked on the script with Nacho, whose idea it was. And at the end, we came in with the producer, Mike Elliot, and suddenly we found ourselves making this movie. But I think over those years, Gonzalo, while you were involved in other projects, and so was I, this script got better and better and better, you know?
Yeah.
Did you like the film, by the way, Tina? Did you enjoy it?
I did. I very
I,
much did. I
yeah,
love that you were in all black the entire time against this very colorful, beautiful movie and everything. And I very much liked that little touch. I'm not sure if that was on purpose or
well,
you
yeah,
just
but he's
like
come
wearing
for one.
black.
He's come for one day. You know, he's only come for one day, and he's off again. So it's minimal, and suddenly he finds himself the timing's wrong, and he disobeys his cardinal rule, which is, the intel is bad. Get the hell out of there. But he stays because he likes the atmosphere, something about it, and then that American star aspect, which relates to his own history, and the character then gets involved with the wonderful character of Nora and her mother, played by, and then the other actor. I'll let Gonzalo carry on from there. Go on.
I mean, I'm gonna tell you the other story, the long one.
Yes.
Oh, go. I'll take a coffee break now.
Yes, go take it easy. So I started doing really independent and experimental and art house movies, like my first two movies, and then I did another movie called The King of the Hill, King of the Mountain. I don't know that the Weinstein got to distribute it in the States, and then that's how I met them. That's how I did Apollo 18, and because of Apollo 18, I end up doing Open Grave, and with Open Grave, I did the Hollow Point, and with all Hollow Point, that's how I met Ian. I love horror and I love sci-fi, but it is true that when I did my last American movie, let's say that it was the sequel of Backdraft, something that I normally not really happy to talk about. I don't know why, but the thing is, I started working in Spain again. So I found myself in a very really muddy, complicated situation with a platform and with a TV. I was doing a series, and it was like things changed so much, like for filmmakers and for producers in the old way, how we were used to make movies. So I decided to start again somehow. And American Star for me is like a new start somehow. I did a really independent movie that I did in the last 2 years. I did it at the same time than American Star, like a solo independent movie where I did absolutely everything on my own because I wanted to really feel like I was going back to my roots, to my, I don't know, where I was owning things. And so American Star, it's a reflection of somehow that decision of really doing things without someone telling you how to do things, and with the help of Ian understanding what we want to do together. So it was not like changing my mind of doing sci-fi or horror and then doing something more grounded. It's like I needed to do really something like that, because for me, it's like a fresh start. And it's not that I'm really denying what I did before, because I love so many things of what I did before. The Hollow Point, one of the things of my favorite movies that I did in the past, but somehow and it's related with the short answer, because I'm older, I know better what I want to do next.
Absolutely.
Also, I think, Tina, we had on this, we bringing in my partner who I'd made this movie with, Mike, not my partner, but my co-producer on this, Michael Elliot, who I'd worked with before, who is a really good independent producer, has a lot of experience, and enabled Gonzalo to make the film that he wanted to make, and we all wanted to make, and nobody looked over our shoulders for 5 weeks. We actually made the film that he wanted to make. We all wanted to make, and we're very proud of it, seeing it, and we're very happy to be here talking about it, in the sense that, but the film would be nothing if it, without the emotional attachment of the actors in it. And I think he cast it wonderfully with the other people.
And it must be so nice to have that creative freedom, because in Hollywood there's so many people looking down your shoulder, kind of dictating how you should tell your story. So you had more independency in this moment.
That's why
I shot seven.
I understand it's the film business, but somehow, we didn't shoot a day over time on this. We shot everything. We get up in the morning, shoot till it went dark. He had it all prepared. Everybody else was prepared. We had a civilized lunch sometimes, and we'd go and do it. And then the weekends, we had a nice time. It's a lovely place to be. It's like actually looking back on it, it's like a sort of an oasis of 6 weeks of like, did we actually make that way? We did. Great crew, great cinematographer who Gonzalo's worked with forever. I did Hollow Point, Jose David Montero, and it's a beautiful film to look at.
I'm sorry.
No. It's just that I did about talking about the freedom and not having anyone over our shoulders. Like I remember I shot 7 different endings for Apollo 18. So that's the kind of contrast.
Oh, wow. So you were able to, and kind of to go what Ian was saying, I saw that you filmed on the Canary Islands. That must have been absolutely stunning to spend 6 weeks on.
No, it's beautiful. He lives there on another island, this island, Fuerteventura.
The Canary Islands.
That's it.
Okay.
But it's like Fuerteventura, the violent wind island, which is the setting is great because it looks like North Africa, where I spent some time, and I understand the fascination of it. And of course, it is the landscape, the ship is part of the entire story, which is very important to the whole thing. And as the way he photographed it is endemic to the entire enterprise. Also, the fact is, if you show that, it also adheres to the rule that if you show a gun in the first 10 minutes of the movie, or it has to go off at one point. But it does go off. But I think it goes off at, that's when everything goes off.
It's building up until it has
but
to.
But it's an emotional story. If it was just a story, we've talked about this. If it was just a story about a hitman, it's been done. Well, everything's been done before. It's the way you do it. But I think the way that you progress into this character with his relationship to the other kids and the other people, and knowing all the time that there's some kind of inevitability of doom about this, gives it a sort of a nice sort of, I think, a nice melancholy air.
Exactly.
Which I think is hugely important for the movie.
I think that's the word maybe that really defines some of the aspects you find in Fuerteventura. Like that thing I referred before about the summer holidays, like all summer holidays, it's that melancholy that you're talking about.
The hotel that we actually lived at, the hotel that we filmed in, is one of those hotels. It's package tourists, so you go in, and when you check in, they give you, say, you're checked in, so you're entirely paid up. So you get a colored ribbon to wear around your wrist, which says if you can have extra beers or your food, or you're only having breakfast, or you're only having lunch, or whatever. It was a little like going back to the 70s or 80s in a sense, in a most delightful way.
Yes. And so Ian, you produced this film as well. how
Gonzalo and Michael, yeah, because we've been involved with it so long, yeah.
which is amazing that you guys have been working on it for so long and have this like bond. I can tell that there's this really nice like friendship between you two.
Yeah.
So how important was it to give this character layers? Like, as you said, if it was just a simple Hitman type of movie, it's been done a million times before. So how important was it to give all these different layers to this character?
Well, I mean, I think that's added by the way it's cast and the way the story progressed. And I think in this case, it's a script that didn't sit there and get worse over 5 years. It got better and better and better, according to him. And we all did other projects, but we stayed in touch and never got depressed about it. It was like saying, "Oh, we'll do it." And the final touch came in when we suddenly had this window of opportunity in early 22 to make it, and bang. Well, we knew late 21, like in December. And we met, didn't we, in London? And so it was like, you have this opportunity next March. And we went ahead and did it. And it was one of those magic times.
And I mean, are there future projects that will be had between the two of you?
I hope so, yeah.
Talking, I mean, I know he's just a very gifted filmmaker and a real human being, which, is and we have a rapport working together. I think we can safely say that. Not as smugness, because we have our moments, but it's like saying, I trust him. Yeah, I do really do. I trust him. When I saw the movie, I think there was one thing I said, the one thing I suggested about maybe because it was one shot, but otherwise it was like it was the film. There was no wasted motion. There was no wasted film. It's like every morning we get up and we go out there and do it and have a civilized lunch at a certain point, looking at this amazing landscape, and then get on with it. And then it was a great way to make a movie.
And I think that the fact that the film is talking about a hitman, and as you said, there are many hitman films. I think in our movie that was secondary because we're talking about a different thing. I mean, he is a hitman because we want to use that as a metaphor of the work of something that he is being focused for most of his life. So he lost the opportunity of getting married or having kids or having a life or having holidays. So, but it could be anything, it's just he is a hitman because it makes the shape of every emotion more visible, you can feel it and touch it better. And it's more interesting for an audience in the end. But what we're talking about, it's about his emotions, about those holidays he really missed from the 70s or 80s, and to fall in love with someone in summer, that summer love, those things, it's what that melancholy and that feeling of losing his life or losing moments of his life. And that's why we found a way to confront him against the shipwreck with the ship, and they recognize each other somehow. And so I think that's why it's different than other Hitman movies.
Right. That, as you said, the aspect of being a hitman was secondary. So in a very nice way, it's like, and especially you get this from the trailer, even that while he's a hitman, he's firing off his gun and everything. It is more of this very nice, melancholy, beautiful, first, again, beautifully shot movie. And I think that people will really gravitate towards that because Ian's been in, say, the John Wick movies, which are amazing movies, but I think some people want to kind of take a step back and have more of the story as opposed to the bang bang shoot 'em up type of things.
Yeah, I mean, I made a movie 20 years ago, which is still a terrific movie, The Sexy Beast, directed by Jonathan Glazer, another very gifted director. But that film, was about gangsters. But it was made, the film was success because of the script by Louis and David, who wrote a great script. But also they had the emotional relationship between Ray Winston and his wife, because he wasn't just doing a heist, he was stealing a diamond for his wife. We loved. And that love story really is the basis for the movie. Without that, it's still a good movie. but that gives it its emotional heft. And I think Wilson's connection with Nora and the kid and the mother give it the emotional connection that is needed for what it does to him and how it makes him feel. And he knows all the time he shouldn't be doing what he's doing or shouldn't be involved, but he's living something. And at the same time going, this is not going to end well. But it's like a journey which he's on, which he's committed to the end, which way it turns out. That's why, in a sense, the ending is not predictable, but I find it, very, very confusing, enigmatic, and extraordinary. I still do.
Which is a nice thing about movies, to walk away and keep
Well,
thinking
I
about
always
them.
think that, don't you always, I mean, I love the movies since I was a kid, and my mom and dad used to take me when it was the great days, when you got a newsreel and you got 2 cartoons and you got a B movie and then you got an A movie and you were there for 4 hours. And that's the first magic of sitting in that room, which took you somewhere else. And that's the idea of a movie now, that you should be able to sit in that darkened cinema, whether it's full, whether you're the only place in there, the only person in there, that it takes you somewhere where you've not been before. And I get the feeling, I saw it last night with an audience, I got the feeling that, yeah, they were experiencing something, it took them somewhere.
It's something that is very difficult these days, because you spend more time just scrolling, deciding what you're gonna watch next, and in the end you realize that it's better if you go to bed and read a nice book. you spend an hour just going through all the platforms, like okay now.
That actually just happened at Christmas this year. Went over to my aunt's house. She doesn't have cable TV, so it's kind of like, what are we going to watch? We spent, I don't want to tell you how much time going through the apps of what to actually watch, and then I don't even know what we landed on. But yeah, no, that happens. And you were saying before, both of you, that it took 6 weeks to film. I always remember being younger, hearing that movies took 6 months, 7 months and everything, but it seems as if the art of filmmaking has made it where you can do it faster. Gonzalo, do you find that you like that, or what's that journey for you when it comes to filmmaking, as opposed to maybe years ago it taking longer?
Okay, I understand what you're asking me, but in my case it's different. I think films are still taking very long. And if you think about a David Fincher movie, that it's a director I really admire, they take like hundreds and 200s or whatever days, whatever he needs, wherever he needs. But in my case, I started really doing independent art house and experimental movies, as I said before. And when I did my third movie, that it was The King of the Mountain, I got 7 weeks to do it, and it was just one camera. We shot it in Super 16, and I thought, oh my God, this is really like crazy. I'm not gonna have time to do it. And I was complaining to the producers all the time. So that was the film that I had the most time to shoot it ever. From that moment on, I always had less and less time. And I remember when the Weinstein called me to do Apollo 18, they gave me 18 days to shoot it. I thought it was a joke because of the 18. That was a completely crazy thing, but the whole point was 25 days. It's like, if you want to do something that you own a little bit, that you want to risk a bit, then you have to sacrifice weeks, unless you are someone really, really, really famous as a director, and then you can do whatever you want, and then they're going to give you all the money in the world, and you're a spoiled director that you can do whatever. But if not, if you're just someone that is really working, you need to do properly your homework, have everything ready to shoot it in a way that it's going to look like you had the most time in the world, because you knew what you wanted to do. So you don't bullshit, you don't get any coverage, but you are really surgical, shooting exactly what you want. And that's how I learned how to do things. But I never had the luxury of shooting a movie in 10 weeks, 12 weeks, 15 weeks.
Well, you're able to then make these really amazing films in the time that you have and everything. So
that's what I wanted to hear.
Yeah. He has a great cinematographer. I mean, Jose David comes.
Yeah,
of course. I love working with him. But it's like all the time. I'm sorry, this thing. It never felt rushed. I mean, we worked hard. Working. We had 25 days. We made this film, right, Gonzalo? Yeah, we 25.
Yeah, but it is true what he said.
We had for those 4 days of script discussion and rehearsals, and costume change, which you don't get on films that shoot for 6 months. They don't rehearse. They just get on set. In other words, when we got on set, there was never an argument about the script. There was never any wasted time about what are we going to do. It was like, get on there, everybody was prepared. And as you say, the black suit, which helped that there's not 17 wardrobe changes. But again, it does. The reason because he only went there for one day anyway in the first place. So it's like, with a change or whatever, one change of his black shirt. But I often think, they're spoiled directors when they have too much time or too much money. In other words, you have options. And the one thing you don't want to give Hollywood people all the time is options. Otherwise, they'll probably pick the worst one anyway. But in this case, you pick your own options, and we weren't dealing with, you were dealing with, so if, it's all up to him. He's the one that made the movie.
That's why that exactly thing you said, it's what I confronted when I started working here in Spain again for a famous platform, that I prepared myself for 6 months. Like I did like 400 floor plans, exactly what I wanted to do in the whole series. And when I started shooting, and I was a month into it, and they wanted options, because sometimes I was just shooting scenes in one shot, 2 shots, when you really understand what you're doing, and you don't need more because things are, organic. And they just wanted more cameras and more shots, because they don't like authors, they don't like directors, they just want to edit in their own way by using algorithms, and they just don't want personality at all. So that's a problem. But to achieve that, shoot a movie in a tighter schedule, you really need to work with someone like Jose David, my director of photography, that we've been working together from the very first time, 97. So we know each other really good. So that's how we can really together achieve those things in really tight schedules.
Well, I wish I had more time to delve even further into this, but I'm being told by the people in the background that I have to wrap up and everything.